Okay, show recording begins right now. Hello everyone and welcome to eLearnChat, where talk, it's knowledge. Well, here we are. This is show, I think, 102 already. If you can believe it, we got through 100, didn't even notice it. And I told Dawn about a couple of days afterwards, we just did show 100. She promptly had some champagne and, no, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
We celebrated. But anyway, I think this is show 102, and we're starting off with a bang. We've been gone for a couple of weeks due to work and conferences. So we're back right now, and, I think there's some zebras running around here.
There's a zebra?
I think there's zebras running around.
Perfect. Let's go see more zebras.
Those great, wild, beautiful creatures. Definitely. Well, anyway, we've got with us today the Master Zebra Wrangler himself from Zebra Zapps. We've got Chris Allen back on the show, and boy, has he got a lot of new stuff to show us. Chris, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing very well.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Good morning, Don.
I'm always amazed at how many new things you guys are doing, and it just never seems to end, which is exciting. A lot of good stuff happening at Zebra Zapps.
Yeah, we're certainly busy, and this is kind of ramping up now in between, the shows that we did over the winter and the spring, and now we've got some hardcore developing time before conferences start ramping up again, and so I'm really looking forward to sharing a lot of the new things that we've been doing in development over the winter, and taking a look at what people are starting to really build and create with our system.
That's great. I'm convinced you guys don't sleep.
Some of us don't.
We work best at night.
Yeah, it is sort of fun. I'm watching, and I'm subscribed to it. I'm watching all the new features, and this is just a lot of stuff, and it's exciting because every new version you guys have come out with is adding even more functionality, and I think around my feeble little head, I'm getting it now. So, and I asked you at eLearn, the one question I had, which is how do I hide some of the wires? And after that, now my life is a lot better. So.
Right.
I go, I've got too many wires. I don't know what to do with them. And then when he showed me that little trick, life is good.
Yeah, there's a lot in the tool for power users and people who are creating, really sophisticated simulations without coding. And over the past year, we've added in so much power for them to be able to just hunker down and take a look at just a small piece of work, which is the changing the wiring levels, which you were talking about. Mm-hmm. Something I use all the time without even thinking about. But it's one of those things that you learn within your first couple weeks of using the tool. So that's really made a big difference, and so have a number of the new features that we announced with Pro last year and with Pro Plus just this spring.
That's great. Now, somebody asked me the other day, are there any Zebra Zapps books yet, or any kind of places for tutorials? I think there's at least one book out. I heard some other ones are already on the way. I think Joe Gonchi was writing a book.
Yeah, that's right. There's the fun thing with our tool and being software as a service is the whole system is always evolving. And if we use the tool for a couple months and decide, it would be really nice to throw in this feature because, we're finding it difficult to complete the types of courses and applications that we'd like, we can sneak those in. And so when you're trying to put together an outline for a book and you start writing and you're creating new materials and tutorials, you get through one or two and go, there might be a slightly better way to put things together, only because a new feature showed up or, there's that new opportunity to go back and refine your work a little bit. And so there are a bunch of people who are putting their heads together with, what are the first basic sets of things that a new user really needs to wrap their head around in order to be extraordinarily prolific with the stuff that they're creating. Right. So that work is ongoing, and we should have a release schedule for some of the new materials that Joe's creating, and as well as others internally. We've been working really hard to put together a vast user documentation set that you can pull up while you're editing and working and get quick answers.
That's good. I know on Vimeo there's a lot of you've got several channels and there's quite a few tutorials on Zebra Zapps. So if that's another source for people to go to.
Right, and our tool is so visual that it's really nice to be able to take some of the short steps that users need to do in order to create content, and just put up a short little video so that you can see that continuous step, and then embed that in some sort of user documentation that has text that goes alongside it, and some examples, and other things like Ethan Edwards, who is part of our Allen Interactions Zebra Zapps team, is hard at work creating brain teasers, so short little applications or interactions where he gives you just enough information so that you need to go off and work and try it yourself, but kind of leads you through a discovery phase to create something pretty neat. And so we're quickly wrapping all of those efforts together into something that I think is pretty amazing for new people learning a tool and system as powerful as ours.
Now, are you using, I imagine you are, the Zebra Zapps internally now at Allen Interactions, and what are the responses of the clients been?
Yeah, a number of things, a number of fronts. We've got some really big projects. I wish I could talk about all of them, but they're all proprietary learning projects. But the teams, Allen Interactions, which we've got studios in California and Minneapolis and in Tampa, groups of 10 to 15 in each studio, who are building custom content for Fortune 500 companies, pretty much, and they've been slowly pulling their client base over to using Zebra, and the response has been really fantastic. Not only are we able to do things within the studios faster, but we're also able to do them cheaper and to do more stuff, and really kind of push the envelope on interactivity fast enough so that they get an opportunity as clients to play with it and see what's going to happen, and that's been a really fun process to be a part of, is to see the product that you work on, every day in the hands of other people, creating really cool stuff.
That is good. And it is funny. I had to laugh when you said, we can't really show some of the, I think most of the multimedia companies or development companies in e-learning can't show their best work. Period.
Right.
We're all under NDA for, I don't even know how many NDAs we have. I'm sure you guys are way in the same boat. It's, what do we do with all this stuff? Can't show it to anybody.
Meanwhile, we want to share. That's what
I know. Everybody wants to show. Hey, look what we just did. That's cool. You can't show it to anybody.
If only the thing that was cool that we just did wasn't a new product that some other company has yet to release.
Yeah, it's great. But
and to make the distinction, your 3 offices are Allen Interactions.
Yeah, and so we've got Allen Interactions custom studios in San Francisco, here in Minneapolis, and in Tampa, and then we've got our Zebra Zapps team here in the Minneapolis office. But even that's starting to spread a little bit because we've got marketing efforts now down in Tampa, and I'm hoping to spend a good chunk of my time this fall with our San Francisco group, getting them ramped up and starting to spread the knowledge a heck of a lot farther.
Those zebras can't be corralled. I don't know.
The zebras like to roam. That's it.
Right.
What was the hold up for internally for your, in quotes, peers in your other company, your larger company probably, in embedding the Zebra Zapps development with clients? LMS?
I would say some of our projects are pretty big, and so it's just a period of time where you got to wait for a current project that they're in the middle of development to ramp off, and then to work with the client to show them the new tools, show them the new capabilities, and start to talk about what is possible now that we have this new system at our fingertips, and so that takes a little bit, and of course then our services clients, they want to play with the tool, build stuff inside the editor and see exactly what it is that it can do for themselves. And so that's been kind of the story of how the cycle is going. But now it's pretty well full bore, and we've got a number of pretty cool projects under development right now. In fact, later this afternoon, I'm I'm going to be working with a couple of developers in the studios to do a code review and to take a look at the types of things that they're building inside Zebra and see if we can't make it even just that much better.
That's good.
It's cool that you have internal user groups already built. You can take it across the hall and say, does this work? Instead of tweeting it out to the rest of us.
Right, and they're a big wealth of new ideas as far as instructional design goes, and what type of interactivity clients are really asking for and pushing for, and then we can of course go ahead and take a look at how's the best way to build it inside the tool, and really start pushing the envelope. So people who are prototyping and sketching in something else, and then moving over to Zebra Zapps, the boundary or the limitations that you run into are certainly a lot less in our system, and so pushing the envelope is probably the most exciting part about my day, is to take a design that was started someplace else and then really expand on it.
And I think one of the most fun things about Zebra Zapps, when you first get into it, it's not intimidating, but it's different.
Well, it's intimidating. That's a good word for me.
Yeah, I think it's just different, and so there's a little bit of a learning curve. However, once you get it, or you get how the dialogues happen and how the properties happen, it's not that hard to really, it's pretty consistent at that point. Once you get the interface and you get how things are, it's consistent. And at that point, not that hard to really put content out there. Actually, we're going to do an experiment in the next week or so where we're going to take an existing course we did, I think it was in Lectora, and we're just going to plop all the content in and then add all the properties and everything else to make it interactive. And that's going to be one of our tests on a bigger project, just to see how it all works. And I'm pretty optimistic it's going to work really well. And people think, oh, I've got to do all this interaction stuff. Actually, when you put content out there, it's easy. That's not that hard. Because I have heard people say, oh, it looks hard. No, it's just they're not used to seeing a lot of properties.
Right. It's different. And it's different on purpose. One of the things that there was a recent article that I was reading just the other day about how just about every rapid authoring tool in our space looks an awful lot like PowerPoint. Well, we're hoping to create really pretty ingenious interactive material so that people are highly engaged and get an opportunity to practice and see the consequences. And when you start with a tool that's pretty linear based, I think it's hard for a lot of new people to think outside of the box. And while you can make PowerPoint do some interesting things that feel nonlinear, it certainly does restrict the freedom that you have as a designer. So our tool or our system really takes a look at what are the fun things that you need in order to create something that isn't necessarily super linear, but also really supports simulation and engagement and activities that feel a lot more like real life. And you're right. There's like 4 or 5 principles that you need to learn, and you probably haven't learned them anyplace else. But we're all learning and development people, so
yeah,
it seems like this ought to be right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, and really, when you get into the product, there is no tool on the market that can do this level of interactivity or complexity, because you can do some pretty complex stuff fairly easily with Zebra Zapps, and that's, I think, where the real magic lies. It's just amazing some of the things you guys have done with that, and made it fairly accessible. It's just, that's cool.
Right. Of course, the challenge that we were trying to solve was how do we get the quality of work that our Allen Interaction Services studios were doing, and they were pretty much coding in native languages or right in ActionScript 3. And that requires some pretty rich knowledge in order to create that level of interactivity, and it takes a long time, and it's expensive, and all the things that come with working right inside code. So we still wanted that quality, but we wanted something that could push out something pretty magical really fast, and that's what we've really attempted to do with our system.
Oh, that's good.
What I like about it is I take a sketch pad and sketch out my stories by hand, and I draw the way Zebra Zapps is designed to work with the wires and connecting. So it's kind of fun.
You're a little weird there, Don. You actually think in wires. That explains it all.
Well, that's your word. I draw lines and arrows, but right, wires is the right word.
Actually, it's funny. Wires, for some people, are probably mind-boggling. Once you get the hang of it, and I've been a programmer in the past, so wires to me don't really matter that much. It's pretty easy, and it's kind of cool the way you do your inputs and outputs. Where people get confused is when you have a lot of things happening on a screen, but that's anything. It's just keeping track of your environment and making sure that you know what's triggering what. And I tell you, I've never come across a tool where I can do one action which can trigger 30 different things if I want them to, and simultaneously if I wanted to. And that's pretty cool.
Think like that.
Yeah, I mean, so think of the kind of things you can simulate, that you can. I mean, I was thinking the other day of just airplane gauges. You can put a cockpit together and make it look pretty real with something like Zebra Zapps. Try doing that with any other tool. You can't.
Right. When you're really trying to simulate what happens in the real world and those activities and things that people do, you certainly need far more freedom than you get with a templated interaction.
Right.
And I certainly think it's pretty easy to get some of those bare bones things working that have a lot of impact for students. I've been talking about dissonance and how things on the screen, when they don't quite look right, or are pretty significantly out of place within the context of a learning event. If you're trying to have users extrapolate by what you've got on the screen and it doesn't really feel real, that's where you get into kind of some murky water. And so really having that full flexibility and power as a learning and development professional makes a big difference.
Yeah. Well, today you said you were going to share some new things with us and show us some of the latest features and some samples.
Right. Yeah. I compiled a bunch of samples, things that we've been creating pretty much over just the last 3 months, to really show the power of the tool and really show people exactly how they can create these rich contexts without too much difficulty. And all the samples that I've pulled really were just about 3 days worth of effort, kind of to give scale and scope of what someone can put together pretty quickly. So if you'd like to show that now, I can set that up.
Okay, so you're going to share your screen.
I will do that.
I like watching Chris's face.
Are there any comments in the chat room while we're there?
Nope, not really. Tom can't get video. He's got audio.
He's got audio. Oh, that's Tom Spiglanen?
Yep.
Oh, Tom, he's always a problem.
And Bruno 1 is silent, so.
Okay, here we go. We can see your screen.
Oh, cool. All right.
I'm so excited to see examples.
So this first one that I pulled up was a software simulation that I wanted to put together simply because there were some things on my computer I didn't know how to do, and one of them was with the Mac you can share files straight from your desktop. So this is really a software simulation. You could extrapolate it all the way across, and there are two cool things that I put in this one. At least I think they're cool. Are hints. In a couple of different ways. One of them is a text hint that you just saw pop up on the screen, and it knows what step you're on, and it leads you along the way. The other one is this hot and cold meter, and you can set up areas within your application that trigger whether or not you're getting close to the right answer. So when you're looking at screens like this that have a lot of different choices for a student, you can encapsulate 3 or 4 options that are kind of in the right direction and have your hot and cold meter get really hot when they're in that area. So it takes something that could be really, really complex, forces the student to think a little bit, but it leads them in the right direction, and it essentially takes a screen that might have 50 options and turns it into a multiple choice question.
Chris, could you move your Skype window so we could see the hot and cold? It's almost blocked.
Oh, that's not me.
Oh, that's Skype just gonna...
That's you guys, unfortunately.
Okay. Then picture if you will, everybody.
Let me see let me see if I can get rid of that. It just popped up.
Because it was right behind your picture. You could just.
Is that okay now?
Yep,
No,
we
it's
moved
better.
on. Let's see if I can skip
It's
back
okay.
here.
You can just keep rolling through. We'll probably
Sure.
see it on the show on the recording. Fine.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm like, what's he talking about? Oh, there it is, right behind his picture.
There it is. And some other things in this example were having a pretty contextual movie running through to show you all the different steps. This next one is really about practice, and this is a project that we had done in the Allen Interaction Studios kind of a long time ago for Union Bank of California for bank tellers to determine whether or not a check is a negotiable instrument or not. And there happen to be 6 different requirements here. It needs to have a date, it needs to have a numeric amount, it needs to have the maker's signature and the address of the bank, and needs to have an endorsement on the back. And really this was teaching a process to get people to think about going around the check in a clockwise order to make sure all 6 items were there. And they were having all sorts of problems with people going through these steps too fast and missing some of the things that really were required, and they were accepting fraudulent checks. So the practice here is really neat, which it gives you a simple yes or no question: is the check that you're looking at a negotiable instrument or not? And it lets you know, of course, what today's current date is. It allows you to flip back and forth so you can see both sides of the check. And then after looking at the check and going around the clockwise order, you say, no, that's not a negotiable check, and then you click on the area for the part that's missing or are incorrect. And this sort of stuff, really, recreating something like this that had already been designed in Zebra from beginning to end is probably no more than a 3-day activity, but is reusable and something that you can deliver to people a couple different times during the year, so they get an opportunity to practice, so you can really distribute that skill over and over.
And Chris, that's one of the key things. A lot of actually anything you build is reusable.
Right. You're essentially always inside Zebra. Absolutely everything that you create could be considered your own personal template.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing here that I've got is one of the new features of our latest tier in Zebra, which is Pro Plus, which allows you to run the things that you create locally. So you're not tethered to the internet. And one of the things that we've been using it internally for are all the presentations and workshops that we've been running. So this application is just a short snippet of the SAM workshop, which SAM stands for Successive Approximations Model, as an alternative to ADDIE. And during the workshop, one of the things that we go over is actually creating some prototypes of learning material, and the material in the practice rounds is actually teaching somebody tic-tac-toe. So one of the slides here that we've got is actually a full running simulation of tic-tac-toe that you can play.
And I noticed you won on the first shot.
Yeah. It's pretty easy when you're playing yourself. So that was a sample presentation that we've been running live. And this next one, this is something that I built for actually for our booth at ASTD ICE. And again, this is an application that was created in Zebra Zapps Pro Plus. It's running locally on my machine. And one of the cool things that Pro Plus has is the ability to embed video, and a lot of video. So we went through some of our clients that are using Zebra and some of the Allen Interaction Services Group, and we created this Harry Potter-like experience where we've got all of our clients in frames, and they're talking about what it is that we did together, and also running kind of a full demo of the solution that we had built for them. And this was fun. I mean, this was really one of the first times that I got to build in our new Pro Plus tier, and one of the first times that I got to really use the embedded video object. And that was a lot of fun, and I, of course, immediately went ahead and started pushing the limits as fast as I could. So, throwing up as many different looping video objects as possible to make sure it was possible, and it was just a snap. So that's a brief taste of some of the things that we've been creating inside our system, and kind of a short look at some of the new features that are available.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So on the desktop version, that can run literally on any Mac or Windows desktop?
Right. So you're still creating in the same place as you were with all the other tiers of service. So you do have to be connected in order to author and to create. But of course, that gives you a lot of connectivity to other shortcuts. But when you publish with Pro Plus, you can take absolutely everything that you create inside Zebra Zapps and pull it down so that it's running off your own machine. So, if you've got a presentation that you need to run and there's no internet connectivity, or you want to run it from your own web server, or even take absolutely everything you create and put it up on your LMS, you can do that now. And it's just as slick as can be.
That's good.
So there are two questions. Adam Weisblatt joined us, and he would like to, if it's easy to do, switch to the authoring environment and maybe show us just something you've got just running on your desktop. But also, if you could go through the publishing, what format is the output? I know we talked about it before we went live.
Sure. What you create, the interactivity and all of that stuff that you create inside Zebra Zapps is really, really flexible as far as output goes through the future. You're essentially creating a document that's not compiled really to any language, any display language, and all of your assets and where they're needed, and then they're wrapped inside a little container. So the first offerings that we have across all of our tiers of service do run Flash, and all of the materials that you're currently creating inside Zebra as the year goes on, those will also be able to be offered in some of the other more modern web languages that are coming along, or natively on other mobile devices.
And it's funny, Chris, because a lot of people go Flash, but how many people out there play Angry Birds? or about 90% of the games on iPhone or Android, they're all done in Flash.
Right.
So get over it. Flash is not gone, and it's not going to be gone for quite a while because it's powerful.
Right. But of course, we're also working just as fast as possible to give people the full power that they're going to need here in the future. And so, we'll certainly be talking about all of those other delivery options pretty quickly here as the year goes on.
Tablet
So
market
I did get an opportunity. I did pull up. Here's an app that I had created for the conference last week. And just kind of a quick overall look at what a project inside the Zebra Zapps system might look like. So over here on the left-hand side of the screen, what we're really looking at here is a bird's eye view of my project. And a couple of neat things here. These guys over on the left-hand side of the screen, these are what we call master pages, and they can contain everything from background images to the navigation structure for your project, but they can also contain some pretty rich interactivity. And you can apply these in combination to any one of the learning events that you're creating. So as I move the slider here down at the bottom over to the right a little bit, you get to see each one of the different learning events. And we call them learning events because we really do imagine that on each one of these different thumbnails that we're looking at here at a high-level view, that you're going to have some pretty interesting interactivity. So that's why we call them events. But you could think of them as slides, or you could think of them as pages. Whatever is most comfortable to you. So the master pages, which were over here on the left-hand side of the screen, I can toggle those things on and off. So one of them had my background color. I can turn that on and off. There's also a forward and back arrow. I could decide maybe I want to have both of them here on the very first event. I can turn them on and off. And the workflow here, as you're working with a big team, is I send off, all the design, all the images and stuff that I want to put inside a project to somebody else who's really great at graphic arts or branding for my organization. They put together the theme. They put together how the navigation is going to work, and they might spend a little bit of time thinking about animation and bringing things on and off the screen. And then they can just send me a copy of that. It shows right up inside my version of Zebra as soon as I log in, and then I can just start from there. As we're kind of moving across here, you can do some interesting things. We were talking, just a little bit ago about creating gauges that look like something that's on an aircraft. Here I've kind of got something that looks a little bit like altimeter that you can put together, and putting together something that's just as simple as this rollover, but does have kind of some advanced animation. I probably didn't spend more than 3 minutes on this, to be honest.
Huge thank you from Adam. So being able to see that was important. I've taken a look at several of your demos, and it's all fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, this is one interaction that I've been pretty fascinated by, which is the ability to reorder and rank, and then be able to take that and send it across to others. So this is a fun interaction where the user can go in here and they can click and move around some items on the screen.
I think we're getting an echo now. I'm not sure.
It's a Skype thing?
I don't know. All of a sudden we started getting an echo.
Could very well be.
It is. So then we've all stopped talking. So am I echoey?
No.
Nope.
It's Chris.
Oh, great.
We've had that before.
Yeah. So here, I'll really quickly pull up our publishing screen here, and I can run through all the new options that we've got available.
Chris, are you on Justin.tv at the same time?
Yes.
With speakers on? Because that may be what's causing it. I don't know. All of a sudden it just started. It was fine.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's the speakers.
I guess Skype went nuts.
What is the name of your Vimeo channel, and can we subscribe, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. If you just search for Zebra Zapps on Vimeo, why it ought to pop right up. And we've got a bunch of different channels for you to see. All the webinars and presentations that we've been doing, as well as a bunch of what we call brain teasers. So example applications with a hint or a clue about how you might create them in Zebra Zapps, but not the full explanation step by step how you do it. And the idea there is you go through, you learn a little bit about a new technique or a new place to look, and then really challenge yourself to go ahead and build it instead of just following along.
Great. I wonder if you stop your video and then turn it back on, if that'll affect the sound.
Sure, we'll give that a try.
And we've got about another 10 minutes.
And do you still have the demo of the airplane on your website? I'll admit I didn't go and look before asking.
Yeah, it's there and certainly available for anybody to go ahead and start using.
One of the first demos you guys had was the eye chart demo, which I still think is one of the coolest, simplest demos, and yet it shows a lot of the power in just a very small application.
Yeah, and that's one that really blows the socks off people, because it's like you do about 3 or 4 steps inside Zebra and you've got it working, and you think about how you might do that even in a programming language, and you'd have to sit down and sketch a little bit about how you'd put that together.
Well, I don't have any other. I'll just ask out loud. Folks in the chat room, do you have any other questions for Chris? Thoughts? Rick, you got all yours answered already? You usually have a million.
Who?
You.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually pretty comfy. Chris answered the one question I had at the eLearn conference, and it was actually a simple solution.
Oh, we'd love a demo of that, though, wouldn't we? Turning the wires on and off from view.
Sure. We can do that. I've got, let's see if we can pull one up here.
And as you're doing that, Adam's question is, what are the limitations of the cloud versus the desktop version, knowing that the cloud version came first, I guess?
Sure. One of the things that you lose when you publish, so that you're going to run it off your own web servers, is some of the advanced syncing technology that we came up with. So really, when you've published a course on your LMS and you're using the Zebra Zapps system to still continue to host and run all of your stuff, what we're able to do is every student that hits your course, we can save absolutely the entire state of the application for each individual student. So when they start on Monday and they return on Thursday, we can return that entire save state of the application back to the student. So what that looks like is, if you can imagine that you're playing a video game and you wanted to be able to rewind or undo or go back 5 different steps, all of that stuff is still available for the student. And that really doesn't matter if they start on their work computer and then they go home and they pull up their personal computer. Absolutely every knob that they've turned, text entry field that they've entered into, any notes or things that they've created inside the app is saved so that they can go back and pull them up, which is far more bookmarking than you'd ever get out of your LMS. So you lose that a little bit when you go to running it off your own web server. But that may or may not be important to you.
Chris, you wanna come back to the video of you and not share anymore? I think that's going to stop the echoing.
Okay.
Oh, look at there.
How are we doing now?
We have your picture. If you can share the video.
Now, Rick, you're echoey.
Now I'm echoing?
A little bit.
No.
Better. We're too funny. We're all tech geeks, and yet we can't make Skype work for us. That's what Zebra Zapps needs next.
Yeah, video calling.
No, it's almost like for some odd reason a double mic opened up, because it sounds like it's just echoing with a little bit of a delay, and I'm not sure what happened. It was all running pretty well.
Well, we're almost at the end of the show. We'll just ride it out.
Yep.
It's the best thing to do.
Okay.
So,
But no speakers. Nobody's got speakers on, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Speakers?
Usually that's what causes this.
It's a Skype thing.
It is. That's weird.
So, any final thoughts or words of advice? I need to still, I've installed it, the free version. I don't know, can I still use that? Question mark.
Yeah, of course, there's nothing to install. It's software as a service, so you just simply go out there and sign on and start using it. We've got a number of people here now within what we're calling customer success services, who are happy to walk you through getting reacquainted with the system and logging back into your account, and even can help point you in the direction of information that really will help you get jump started, and using and creating to the best of your intentions.
I'll get better at it, I promise. Just, time, that's all it takes. Time.
Once you actually get into it, though, you'll find that it's actually a lot of fun. It is different. It's fun. And when you get to do things that you didn't think you could do, it's even more fun.
I participated in the course. Was it part of HCM Summer School last year that you did? Or was it you had a three or 4 part web series? I did that last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, that's last year.
If I could remember last year, we'd be doing pretty good.
We're all in the same boat. But that's when we worked on the check that you showed the demo of. That's probably about my most favorite starter application to build, because it's physical, it's a skill almost all of us have encountered at some point in time, and it's pretty useful. How to do it without e-learning, so there you go. But
right.
Yeah. but I could definitely relate to the content material, having been a bank teller for a few years, and but then also from a development standpoint, I was really intrigued with how everything worked. So, and it's very visual for those of us that are kind of new to this development tool.
Yeah, certainly, being as visual as possible should, in theory, lower the complexity or burden of trying to learn a syntax or a language where you've got to type everything in or remember the names of variables and all that sort of stuff. It's all just right there for you to pick up and start using.
Exactly. Any other final thoughts for us? I hope you'll come back and visit again soon.
Yeah, this is fun just about every time, and the last two conferences, been able to run into you guys both in person, and that's always fun.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, Chris sounds really nice on the shows. He's really nice in person too. So he's an all-around good guy. So just in case you're wondering, he's not a double persona here. He's really a good person.
You might have thought I was a stalker at ICE. I kept standing in the back while you're doing demos 4 or 5 times to try to meet you in person, shake your hand at least. Your dad was never there when I went, but every time I went, your people in the booth kept loading me up with swag. So I have lots of things. Several things. Yeah, more than one scarf. I got the whole deal.
Excellent. Yeah, those scarves have been so popular.
They have.
And it seems like they disappear, and so we've even gone through different versions of colors. We went from a true black and white to a gray and black, and that's even started to make them a bit collectible, and people are coming back saying, we really enjoy using your system, and it's so fun to be able to pick up and wear some of this stuff that goes along with it, and it's a fun theme to play off of.
I'm going to put my vote in for hot pink and black.
Hot pink.
Although the guys probably won't want to wear that too much, but I like it.
I'm sure there's a hipster someplace that would enjoy a pink and black zebra
I think some of your offices probably would think that was just fine. So, yeah, definitely.
Now, a Zebra Zapps convention would be fun, where everybody just puts on the scarves and walks around aimlessly for a while, kind of like zebras in the wild. That'd be kind of cute. Have you guys thought of doing a user group show yet?
Yeah, I would say we're, that's within certainly the next 12-month plan is to figure out, how we can start bringing people together. One of the things that's most exciting for me is to be able to work on a problem side by side with another person who knows Zebra. And so, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to be able to get a couple hundred people together and start using Zebra and see how they do it, and really work together and collaborate on something interesting.
Well, here's a thought. DevLearn, set up a hospitality suite and get everybody in there. That'd be fun.
It's coming up really fast.
It is coming up, I know. But that'd be fun. It'd be fun to get all the developers together and just share ideas and thoughts. But Chris, as always, a real pleasure having you on. You're always sharing good information, and it's just good to have you on, period. But so good luck with the product, and
thank you very much.
Looking forward to using it actually with our clients. Right now, I've been the one playing with it, but we're going to get other people involved and start using it with clients, because we see just a lot of benefits to this. So looking forward to it.
Well, certainly don't hesitate to call. I'm happy to help on just about anything that's in your way.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much.
Great offering.
And if you're looking forward to, or if you want more information, you can go to www.zebrazapps.com, and it's all there.
Awesome. Great show. I love seeing demos.
All right, everyone, thanks for watching. If you're in the chat room, we really appreciate you being there. And if you're watching the recording, please subscribe, give us your feedback, let us know what you think, and we will have links to Zebra Zapps and Chris and everyone else on the show. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.